Well, good evening. Welcome to this episode of Prophecy for the Last Hour. My name is Elizabeth McGee, and I want to thank you for tuning in, or if you're going to be listening to this on my YouTube channel, I just thank you for taking the time to listen. So I always say I have meat prepared for the dinner hour, and it truly is, again, a lot of meat. I try to start out slow, like I say, but I know I'm going to be like a freight train again. I have a lot of information. I'm doing a teaching series on a little more depth of the hidden mysteries, the wisdom literature, the Kabbalah, the Zohar, Jewish mysticism. Okay, and so I think this will be the third in a series, but I'm beginning to delve very deep because I have found that my answers, I really have found kind of a lot of where a lot of the answers are for my journey into the sod, into the mystery level of understanding is. So that being said, I have a lot of different places that I'm going to read from tonight, but just as a quick review, for those who have never seen this, and you could Google it, this is called, I don't know if we can get a close-up of the board over here, this is called the Seraphit. This is a diagram, and it is just a diagram, of some of the deepest understanding of how the universe works. Imagine. This is what is called, and you could, like I said, Google this and it gets really deep, but this is in a nutshell, the whole concept of the creation, the creator making a creation visible and invisible. Now, let me just make this original disclaimer on this. There's a verse, and I forget where I quoted it from. I put it in the link in my YouTube channel from last week, that the things that have been revealed to us and to our children are ours forever. This is knowledge and understanding that the Lord has given that is ours. But the things, the hidden things that God has not revealed are not ours. And this is the basic understanding in Kabbalah, that we can know the creation. We can know the creator in sense of understanding there is a creator, Yahweh Elohim. But there is the whole concept of what is called Ein Sof. There's this whole concept of God who we cannot know, who is outside of his creation. The vastness of the Hebrew mind, I just love it because it does answer every question. There is no rock or thought or concept. They have not looked under and sought the wisdom of God and have an understanding. So this whole concept, like out here, this is like I wouldn't even call it outer space. They call it nothingness. And this is a huge concept. We're not going to go there, but I just want to tell you people, it's so deep. There's nothing that is not covered and understood. But what we can know, we can know. What we can't know, we can't know. And Paul summed it up very clearly. He said on the 8th day, eye has not seen nor ear heard the things that God has prepared for those who love him. There's going to be something, believe me, people, that is just going to blow all of our minds. But for right now, let's just stick with this because this is about as deep as it gets. And if we can master some of this, this is the understanding that is coming out in the last days as we put this whole puzzle piece back together. Because remember, truth was thrown to the ground. These are some of the analogies. It's a parabolic language, I've said. All right, so just let me, in a nutshell again, one more time, quickly recapitulate this. This is broken down. Each of these represents huge, I guess it's departments of God. I mean, you have to understand something, people. We are talking about an Ein Sof God who we cannot see or hear in terms of the fullness. And I mean, God is just, but he has created ways, avenues, paths, conduits, whatever, to know him and know parts of this thing. At the top of this, you have what's called the Keter, the crown, Hokmah, wisdom, and Bina, understanding. This is the Godhead, as we would understand it, okay? If you come from a Judeo-Christian heritage and you hear this, the Godhead, okay? And yet God is one. There's no, and this whole concept of pluralism, is God many or is he one? This whole thing, it can all be understood. But you have to understand something. This, then you come down to 5 that are here. This is referred to as, below here, is the sevenfold Spirit of God, okay? Because I'm telling you, these are words referenced in your Bible, but most Christians have zero understanding. And I didn't until I really began to seek with all my heart. now I can understand what's going on here, and I can understand when the prophets, I've called this prophet speak, when they use these words, what they're talking about. But up here in the Godhead, in the crown, the Keter, you have the Spirit of God. And then you have down here, this is referencing really the soul. And then down here you have these lower levels, the Yesod and the Malkut, the kingdom, which is in the body category, okay? And I said this last week, the problem with all this is that two huge areas that exist that are part of this whole cosmology of God, we cannot see with our physical eyes. You cannot see the spirit, you cannot see the soul. There's a whole different way of knowing and coming into these realms, okay? Unfortunately, down here in the body, this we can see, but we have to use parabolic language. This is the whole point. God spoke in parables, he spoke in language, where we can understand the concepts. We can experience these, trust me. But I cannot, at the present time, they function in, this is called the invisible parts, the visible and invisible, the matter and the forces. What I've learned is that there's really only one reality. It's just every culture, people, and it just uses different words. They have different words to explain the exact same concepts. Now, all that being said, I want to divert, because I'm going to flip back and forth between the body and the soul, and really and truly, people, this is what I love. God says that he used the Hebrew letters, the 22 letters, and there's math involved, there's so much involved in this to create this universe, okay? The seen and the unseen parts of it, okay? But each of the Hebrew letters has a huge part to play. This is not for the faint of heart, I will admit. And no, Yeshua, you can understand him as a little child. But Paul exhorts us all, because we are in a fierce war with an enemy, to grow up into Christ and understand our heritage, understand the understanding of our sages, our teachers, our fathers. We're going to get to Father Abraham, okay? Don't let anybody teach in this teaching today that your father is your pastor. No, most of them are absolutely, I shouldn't say that. I don't want to be. No, we have fathers, tried and tested. Abraham and Jacob and Noah and Shem and Enoch. These are the fathers in the faith, okay? Now, so I was going to go, okay. So I'm going to start down here in the body, okay? Because the thing is, God has boots on the ground. Now, I've taught this doctrine. If you really read Genesis very clearly, Genesis 3, there's two things going on in this lower level. In terms of, I call this boots on the ground. You have a seed of a serpent and you have a seed of a woman. Both were planted in the ground here, okay? When the Bible refers, let me make two disclaimers, because a lot of these words you have to understand their Hebraic understanding. There is a big difference between the word world and the word earth, or the land. The world, when it refers to, is a system. The world refers to like this God of this world. Hasatan is referred to as the God of this world. He is a very powerful, and many that are in league with him, spiritual forces in the spirit and soul category and manifest down here in the body, but who are running a system that is causing us blindness. This is what to be asleep and to be blind and to not to understand who our creator God is, okay? The earth is talking about literally the world of matter, the elements seen and unseen that make up the physical world. So you really kind of got to understand when you read what it's talking about between world and earth and land. Now, the seed of Abraham, the story kind of starts, a lot of our Bible story, for most people, it starts with Abraham, because so much of prehistory, pre-Diluvian, the world before the flood, and really the world before Abraham, they say it's very obscure and we can't really know, and they find, they want to keep it in this category of, well, there's no surety, there's no safe footing, archaeology, they find this, but then some people say this, some people say that. It's all a ruse. We can know truly, to a large extent, what was going on in these cultures, and I'm at the conclusion, I will tell you this, I think most of the world's mythologies, legends, stories, origin stories, these kind of things, and first and foremost the Hebraic Christian, whether they're Judeo-Christian, are way more true way more true on levels that we could, than the worldview we have today, that these people were just a bunch of cavemen and that, mythology is just a made up, what were these people thinking? What kind of drugs were these people doing? No, 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 no. There is so much truth, literal, boots on the ground truth, and what was going on in this category. Okay, I hope I haven't lost too many people. I want to make my point. Boots on the ground. The seed of Abraham. So you have to understand something. The flood, there was, in so many people are unpacking this. I'm not going to, there was so much wickedness in the earth for very specific reasons that we can know today. And there was a flood. It was repopulated again with Shem, Ham, Noah. But there's another level to this story that I haven't even begun into, in which encoded, encrypted words, it's a lot bigger than the first grade kindergarten level that we understand, okay, or get in Sunday school. Abraham was such a pivotal person, and why? Okay, God made a very special covenant with Abraham, but he did tell Abraham that his seed, because it's a seed war, you just got to understand, the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent. There's bloodlines. This is all about genetics. This is all about offspring. This is all about the war, the enmity, the hatred between the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent. And who is who and what's going on. I'm not going to delve into all these things. But Abraham, he lived in the time of Nimrod. He was a contemporary with Nimrod. And you have to understand, there's so much in the extra biblical literature, okay, that gives you a complete and full backdrop of what was going on in the ancient world, okay? Now, unless a Christian today, and this is my opinion, I stand on it, I will totally stand before Yahweh at the judgment, and you need to read beyond your 66 book canon, because that is a matrix, that's a box. You will never get the knowledge and wisdom that you need to fight this fight and win. That's why all this information is coming out now. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, and it's not lack of knowledge of how to cook good bread. It is on the whole what is going on behind the veil. Okay, this is the knowledge that God is telling. We are getting our butts kicked. And there's a reason for all this. Okay, now I want to make my first point here. Oh my gosh. There was a girl who won a Nobel Prize a couple years ago. I think it's 2014. Malala Yousafzai. Okay, now the most interesting thing is, because people, if we had biblical eyes, we would understand exactly how God's word is being performed in the earth today. It is literal. It's happening just like he said it would. The sons of Abraham, Abraham's offspring, has gone out into all of the earth, and it is the salt. It is the preserving salt that is keeping a lid on, and is keeping to a certain extent, a level playing field in the earth today, genetically. The seed of Abraham, which he said was going to go into all the world, it would infiltrate every nation, tribe, tongue, and people. It is this seed of of Abraham, because Abraham's seed in Hebraic idiom means Yah's seed. Yah is another word for God. This is his genetics that he was going to keep in the world through a covenant that he made with Abraham. And that is so, because the flip side is the children of the father of the devil, Cain, whose father, according to Yahushua, read your text, his father was of the wicked one. His father was the devil. He was just a murderer and a murder from the get-go. You got good fruit or bad fruit in people, and then you got a whole mix and mingle people. We're all a mix and mingle at this point. But I want to tell you how, when God said literally that the seed of Abraham was going to be a blessing in the earth, it's so true. And how good seed, it said a good tree will produce good fruit. A bad tree will produce bad fruit. And that's how we're supposed to judge people, not according to your religious denomination. I don't care what you call yourself. I want to see the fruit. Okay, I want to see your fruit. Do you love goodness, mercy, truth, justice? Can you live at peace with your neighbor? All right, these are things that speak of where your roots are, what kind of tree, what you're growing out of, what waters. We get in. That's a whole thing. Okay, Malala Yousafzai. Now, I've done a lot of teachings on the two houses of Israel. This is another whole thing you have to understand if you're ever going to make sense out of your Bible, especially Old Testament. The nation, Abraham's seed, yes, had seed, and went into all the earth. But Abraham wasn't just some local farmer or shepherd guy. He was a king of the earth, okay? All right, let me make my first point about her. She comes from a people group in Pakistan. She comes from a people group who are called, let me tell you the story of her. She is a young teenager, and I think when she was around 14, her parents, okay, so she comes from a part of the world in Pakistan. She's a Sunni Muslim, okay? Grew up as a Sunni Muslim. Her parents ran schools in Afghanistan or Pakistan. It must be right up near the border, in an area that's called Swat, S-W-A-T area. Okay, but her last name, it's Yosef Zai, which means son of Joseph. There are whole tribes, clanal people spread all the way across the Silk Route. Okay, all the way from Media, northern Iraq, which is where I was going to talk about the northern kingdom. You have to understand about the two houses. The two houses, when God dispersed, this is the first dispersion, and his plan was brilliant, actually. All things do work together for good, for God's purposes. This seed was sent into exile and scattered, and he says in Deuteronomy that this seed that started with Abraham, and now we're morphing up until the time of the dispersion of the northern tribes, the 10 tribes up north that became so apostate that God actually divorced them and spit them out of the land and sent them into the first dispersion or exile. They, in the land of the Medes and Persians, which is northern Iraq today, followed a route from there all the way to China. And they can document, and there are many pockets of the lost tribes, the sons of Joseph, that tribally, heritagely, I don't know if that's the right word, are from these peoples. They say it, and there has been genetic testing, because some of these tribes have actually gone back to the land of Israel in part of the regathering of the exiles. So she comes from a specific, so the word Yosef Zai in their language, whatever it is, means son of Yosef, son of Joseph. They say they are part of the B'nai Be Israel, the children of Israel, the dispersed children of Israel. But what she did that was so remarkable, her parents owned a school. She's not part of the Taliban. She has nothing to do, their family had nothing to do, obviously, with the more factious and violent and bad fruit kind of the Taliban in Afghanistan, Pakistan. They just were teaching schools, and she wrote this essay about how she felt that women should be educated, and she was an advocate at 14 for women being educated in this completely Taliban culture then. And it was extremely dangerous. See, you understand something. The wheat and the tares are all growing together, and righteousness will surface. So anyways, here's this little girl. She writes this essay where she is defending the rights of women, because if you've got any understanding, you will understand, especially in Afghanistan, highly Taliban, highly fundamental Islamic. They don't have a high track record of treating women much above cattle. But she was targeted. She wrote this essay. Time magazine or someone in the West picked up on it. It kind of started to circulate. She was boarding a bus, just living her life, going to school, and being a role model and being a leader for the other girls and people in her villages to go to school, because the Taliban was trying to shut down education, especially for women. And a gunman aboarded a bus, asked her out by name, and shot her in the face 3 times, okay? And the gun traveled, went into her forehead and down her face and out her shoulder or something. I mean, she was unconscious, but she pulled through. Praise the name of the Lord Yeshua. She pulled through, and she got help from the West, and the story just went viral. Here's this young girl. She became the teenager. I mean, she's just been living the life since then. I saw her on Ellen, of all places, okay? She's just been living the life. But the point is, here, this is exactly what God was doing with this seed of Abraham that went into all the earth, that is still the salt of the earth, where people will stand up for what is good, right, true, just, holy, pure, of good report, what is right and just. Women, who can, all right, I mean, if you got a problem with women being educated, I don't even know what to do with you. Okay, I suppose people will say to me, women aren't supposed to teach, whatever that Bible verse is, whatever. Okay. the blind leading the, but whatever. So I want you to see that how real, okay, how real your Bible is, and this seed, this salt that is a preservative in the earth today. And people all, because it says in Deuteronomy that the tribes would, this, and then you have the southern kingdom got dispersed, and the seed, there have been so many dispersions. God has used everything that has happened to the poor, the peoples of Abraham and the peoples of the tribes, and they would go into the north, the south, the east, and the west. This is new knowledge to me. I've really been focused on how they went into the west, okay? And it can be documented that many of them went up, through southern Europe, up into Gaul, France, into the islands of the sea, and over to America. I mean, this is out, people. This is documented. There's no secret here. But they kept with them the right. First of all, they've kept the seed of Yah. There is a righteousness, okay, to God's seed, because God is good. There is an inherent goodness in this seed, okay? Now, and the flip side is true. But they took with them their writings, because some of the people, I'll just say that, the Afghans call themselves the B'nai De Israel, or the children of Israel, and and after the overthrow of Israel, they were transplanted. This is according to their legends. They lived as Israelites till Khalid summoned them in the 1st century of the Mohammedans. But you know what? This is why I believe God says there's going to be such a great harvest, and there is beginning to be a huge harvest amongst the the Muslim nations of the world. This is seed of Abraham, people. Okay, so boots on the ground. Okay, so that's good boots on the ground. I want to go a little bit here to the bad boots on the ground, okay? This is from, all right, and that's going to set the stage, because the one thing I've learned about all the Bible writings, literature, they're constantly, the prophets are constantly flipping between body, soul, and spirit in these different dimensions, okay? This is actually the 3 dimensions that, Einstein figured out that we live in, and there's 2 more behind that according to Kabbalah, and all the different dimensions, and I mean, it's just unbelievable. But let me see, this is from a quote from The Triumph of Righteousness, or it is a book found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. This is the fragment of a writing found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. It has names called The Triumph of Righteousness, or the Book of Mysteries. It is a shortened version of a larger work called The Secret of the Way Things Are, which is another Dead Sea Scrolls text. This is all work of what is called wisdom literature, and I'll get into that, give a little explanation. But what I want you to hear is the Book of Secrets, or the Book of Mysteries. It comes from the word of Raz, R-A-Z, which means in Hebrew secret or sod, or the mystery level. And this understanding, what I want to see is up here in this, what I've been trying to touch on last week. There is wisdom and understanding. This is the principal thing. This is what God says to us, like even New Testament Christians, and we get out of Proverbs. Get wisdom, get understanding. That is the principal things. That is the secret of the way things are, which is referenced in the Dead Sea Scroll. But I want to read this little clip to you. Do not all peoples loathe iniquity? Well, let me just start up here. It says, they know not the mystery to come, nor do they understand the things of the past. They know not that which shall befall them, nor do they save their soul from the mystery to come. Remember, Paul talks about a mystery of lawlessness. You understand? I keep honing over and over. There is a mystery level to the scriptures that we can know. Now, it says, this word shall surely come to pass, this prophecy is true, and by this it may be known to you that it shall not be taken back. Do not all the peoples loathe iniquity, and yet it is spread by them all? Does not the fame of truth issue from the mouth of all the nations? Yet is there a lip or tongue which holds to it? Which nation likes to be oppressed by another stronger than itself, or likes its wealth to be wickedly seized? And yet which nation has not oppressed another? And where is there a people which has not seized another's wealth? In other words, this is the flip side, the root problem, what bad fruit will produce. And this is, even in the law of karma. And you think of when there were 70 nations originally, after Shem, they morphed into, or after Noah, his boys, into 70 nations. The table of nations, you should read the book of Jasher. There is so much more information to be able to piece this thing together. And God, it is a level playing field. When you play according to God's rules, his Torah, his law, his way on how to live peaceably, there's a level distribution field. But iniquity and sin, the fallen part of man, the seed of the serpent that got in us that is constantly bringing us to the dark side. Oh yeah, with Star Wars out now, the dark side and all these understandings. What nation has not oppressed another? Even in the West here, what are we doing in the Middle East? Why are we using Middle East oil to run our economy? Quite seriously, people. We have enough oil preserves for us and the rest of the world right on our half of the globe. I mean, what is going on here? What is the root cause? Why are we oppressing whole people groups all over the world for resources that are not ours? This is the whole trafficking that's going on in the world of lawlessness, which is causing a lot of the strife and contention, which is causing the wars and the things that go on. It's what Paul says: the things that work at you, that out of you come wars and strifes and contentiousness and jealousies and hatreds. We have to understand these two sides of the coin, and you have to choose. Choose you this day which one you're going to serve. Anyways, I want to put that aside. Now I want to talk about, going back, I talked about wisdom literature, because the whole point is to get your worldview, your understanding from the Godhead, from this place up here, which is called the crown, which is called Hokmah and Bina, the feminine and the masculine. And you just got to understand Hebrew. There is a mother, there is a father principle. There is this the attributes of God. He truly has delineated himself or revealed himself. Let's say. I'm going to read a quote from. This is a Deuterocanonical book, the Book of Solomon, or the Book of Wisdom, which is a great book. You should read it. It's in your Catholic Deuterocanonical. Why it's whatever. I'm not even going to go to that argument. I have a YouTube channel, or a YouTube called "Not All Canons Are Equal." It's one of the very ones I did in the beginning, which you should read and get an understanding of all the literature in the Hebraic Christian tradition that is available to us to get a handle, to begin to get wisdom and get understanding. And it's really, to me, it's all about the writings. Remember when Paul was in prison, he didn't ask for, I think it was to Timothy, he said, just bring me the writings. Bring me my writings. That's really meditating day and night on the writings. That's all. Okay, I'm going to read chapter 7, bits of chapter 7 from the Book of the Wisdom of Solomon. And let me just say this about, there is they're called the Saphonential works. There is a whole genre of Hebraic literature, and it's called the wisdom literature. And it would behoove you to understand the different types of literature. It's much bigger than the Torah. I think, what do they call the writings? They call it Moses. The writings, it's the prophets, the law, and there's a third thing. Oh, and I think it is wisdom. The wisdom, the law, and the prophets. Okay. Because of this, now this is Solomon. This is the testimony of Solomon. And let me just say this one other point, because I'm going to say two things about this. They just lie. Your history, people. Solomon was the greatest king that ever lived, of all the kings of the earth. That's what the testimony that God said. He made him a worldwide kingdom. The other thing I was saying, you have to understand the difference between land and world. These are world kingdoms. Most kingdoms encompass pretty much their known world if they're going to become to the level of a kingdom. Greece, Rome, the peace merchant, they really do conquer basically and subjugate the known world, their time, their age. And the world of Solomon was no different. Now, they want to tell you, they even want to try to make you doubt there was a Solomon, which is just not going to work. But and Solomon's wisdom was renowned in all of the earth. God filled him. That was his whole point. His heart, unfortunately, why the kingdom did not come. And hopefully I can get to these 2 points. Hopefully I